Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia, I am a tarot coach and this is another dose of mindful tarot coaching. I invite you for a quick, short self-reflection journey in this video. We are going to take a closer look at one of the major arcana cards to see what questions and lessons and topics it raises, what can we learn from it, and how can it help us to become more conscious and more content in the long run. As always, I invite you to pick what resonates and to feel free to create your own meaning and interpretation of this card based on, of course, where you stand now in your life, in your mindset, and in your personal development. Another important thing to mention is that this video is just an inspirational, thought-provoking one. Why? Because as you may know, the tarot universum is super complex, super multi-layered, and accordingly, it is kind of impossible to tell everything about one card in 15 minutes, also because I don't know everything about one card myself. Accordingly, please consider it as just an invitation to start to work with this topic. And of course, feel free to add your own comments, thoughts, interpretations, and ideas. My purpose, again, is just to motivate you to start to work with these topics and to see what kind of ideas this card raises for you, right? And last but not least, I would like to recommend you to get back to these videos from time to time, again and again. Why? Because the tarot cards have the interesting nature, and that is that they are unfolding over time. As I have mentioned, each card is super complex and very multi-layered, and based on where you are in your journey, you will explore and understand always more and different aspects of a single card. That's why it is highly recommendable to watch the video again and again and to see what is being raised at another time when you watch the video. Okay, this was the usual intro and disclaimer, and now we can dive in and get started. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the card that we are going to examine this time is number 11, Justice. In some decks, it has the number 8. This is a topic I don't want to dive in because that's a different story. However, in the Rider-Waite deck that I am using, it has number 11. And before we dive in, I would like to start with the usual warm-up icebreaker practice. That is, I would like to invite you to hit the pause button, take a pen and paper, observe the card and write down everything that comes into your mind when you take a look at this card. These can be thoughts, ideas, expressions, and proverbs about justice and law. There can be also emotions, memories, bodily sensations, and the like. You cannot be wrong. The point is to associate totally free, and it is also going to help you to activate your right brain and to become more open and receptive to the information that is coming. All right, when you are ready with that, we can start and take a closer look together at this card. Well, on the card, we can see the goddess of justice and truth, Dike, from the Greek mythology. She is sitting on a concrete throne, which is a very stable construct. In one of her hands, she is holding a scales, and the scales represents balance and integrity and harmony. And this balance is often, as we will discuss it later, is between intuition and logic. In her other hands, she is holding a sword that represents fair, objective decision. And by the way, that sword is double-edged, meaning that the truth is sometimes kind of unpleasant, right? And it always has, a decision always has also consequences. She is wearing a crown and a jewelry with squares on them. And the square is also quite a stable and edgy form in the geometry. It means that it is not the softest and most pleasant form, to say so. However, it is super concrete, and accordingly these squares are representing honesty and integrity and yeah, a very stable construction. The goddess is wearing a red robe. Red is the color of passion and courage. And we also see in the background a red curtain. And this curtain represents the so-called red fog or cloud that sometimes covers and sometimes takes our mind over when we are too much involved emotionally in a situation, and accordingly our perception is kind of distorted. All right, these are the symbols on the card, and now we can take a closer look at the meaning. Well, the meaning of the card is in keywords is karma, cause and effect, justice, law, judgment, truth, decision, honesty, integrity, concepts, beliefs, and harmony. And now let's take a look at those topics one after another. First and foremost, this card is about the law of karma. And here I have bad news and good news. The bad news is that you will get what you have given. And the good news is you will get what you have given. So, as you can assume, it is about the cause and effect. What goes around comes around, meaning that, again, you will get what you give. This is super important, that's why I'm repeating. And accordingly, whatever comes into your life is the consequence of your own actions and words that you have spread before, that you have sent out, and they are just finding their way back to you. And accordingly, everything that is happening in your life can be considered right and yeah, fair, even if we don't like this idea. Accordingly, we are responsible for our own lives, and this is something super important that we have to keep in mind and again act and feel accordingly. This card is also about making a conscious choice and a fair judgment. A judgment and a decision that is well balanced, unbiased, neutral and objective as much as it can be, knowing that whatever choice we are going to make, it is going to have long-term consequences and impact on our lives, and not only on our lives but also on that of others. And that's why it is super important that as we can see in this scale, we are trying to take a balanced, fair decision. As I have already mentioned, this card is also about responsibility. It is about being aware of the law of karma, knowing that whatever I experience in my life is the consequence of my own actions, and accordingly keeping this in mind and accordingly taking responsibility for this. This is a very, very important lesson of this card. I could also say that it is about growing up, which is a very difficult task for many of us. All right, and last but not least, this card is also about beliefs and concepts, because again, what goes around comes around. And what is going around has a lot to do with my ideas, beliefs, and concepts. So the question is here, what concepts am I holding about life, about the world, about people? Because what I believe is going to fulfill itself, right? So whatever I think is true, I am going to be right because again, my beliefs are going to work as self-fulfilling prophecies. Therefore, it is a very good idea to take a look at your concepts and your beliefs about life in general, and to see whether they are good ones Are they creating a kind and positive reality that you would like to experience, or no? And in case the answer is no, it might be a good idea to sort the ones out that are not serving you and to replace them with good ones. Because again, what goes around comes around. I'm sorry for repeating myself, but this is so important. And a last comment about this card, it is also the card of honesty. It is about truth. So the question it raises, are you honest with yourself? Are you honest with other people? Are you true to yourself? Do you know your inner truth? Do you know what is that? And are you able to be true to your inner truth and accordingly communicate and express it also to others? This is super important because being fair and being correct has a lot to do with it. So if I am correct with others, if I am honest with myself and others, then I can maintain integrity, and this is how I am creating good karma and good life for myself. These were the main meanings of this card. However, I'm sure that in case you Google, you can find some other stuff, but these were the core ideas. And now let's take a look at the connection between justice and the lovers. Why? Because as you may know, the lovers is the main topic of the year 2022, and therefore it's important to get back to it every time and to examine the overlap and the connection between the lovers and between the current monthly card, which in this case is the justice. So there are quite a few connections, and the first that comes into my mind is the idea of honesty, what we have just discussed. You may know that the lovers is also, amongst others, about being honest, being maintaining integrity first and foremost with yourself, and maintaining authenticity, again being true to yourself. And this is an idea that is very much supported by the justice, as we have just discussed. Another interesting overlap is that of karma again, because in our human relationships, especially in our partnerships, we of course have a lot of expectations toward others, and more often than not, we are actually expecting the other people to deliver what we want to have. However, if we remember that we have to give first what we want to get, that it can be a game changer. So ask the question, am I giving what I want to get, or am I waiting for the other to deliver what I want to get? In the latter case, it might be recommendable to change the approach and start to be the cool one and to give and radiate, because in this case you might get it back instead of waiting for the others to do so. And the next interesting common point is that of decision and choice. The Lovers card is also about making a very important choice with long-term consequences. And as we have seen, the Justice card is also about making a fair judgment and a good decision. Therefore, this is a quite obvious overlap. And again, they both remind us to make first and foremost a fair and correct and balanced decision, which is very much balanced between heart and intuition and the mind. So they both have to be included when taking a decision. And it is also about taking the right decision, which is authentic, which is good. And sometimes it is the harder way to go. So what these two cards raise together, in other words, is, am I ready to take the right decision, to take the right path, which is sometimes the harder one, Or do I want to kind of go for the easier way, maybe avoid responsibility, etc., etc.? A very interesting other question. Getting back to balance and harmony. Another interesting thing to remember, that this objective mindset, whatever that is often distorted by passions, by emotions and the like, especially in partnerships. So it's also interesting to ask yourself, am I biased in some way? Or am I able to find my center and find a balanced attitude? Or am I, again, blinded and taken away by my decisions? By the way, a quick note, love is often blind. And that's why it's an interesting question to consider. And last but not least, we have something about self-love here again, because you may know that the Lover's card is also about self-love, which is the alpha and omega of love, by the way. And as we have seen here with the Justice card, it also has a lot to do with self-love, because you want to give to others that what you want to get. Again, you also want to give yourself what you want to get, right? So therefore, it is another interesting overlap, reminding us that we have to love first and foremost others, which is again about being authentic, being true to yourself, etc. We have discussed all those points already. I don't want to repeat myself again. So these were the first overlaps that have come into my mind, but I am sure you will find something else. I am super curious about your comments. Feel free to add them below. And now let's get back to the Justice card, which is the main topic. And given what we have discussed so far, let me give you a list of questions again that I think are interesting to consider. So first and foremost, am I honest with myself? Can I maintain integrity? So am I honest with myself? Do I know my inner truths? Am I able to express it and communicate it, even if it's sometimes an unpleasant and inconvenient truth or not? Do I take responsibility for my life? Do I know the law of karma? Am I aware that everything I experience in my world and in my life is the consequence and the echo of my own actions and words? And knowing this accordingly, am I ready to take responsibility? Also known as, am I ready to grow up or no? I think this is maybe the ultimate teaching of this card, and this is super interesting. Accordingly, do I stand by my decisions knowing that they are going to have long-term consequences, impact, or am I trying to escape responsibility? So these are the interesting questions. Again, add yours because the list could go on. And now, as a final practice, I would like to give you a kind of homework, or let's call it practice, that is going to help you to put the lessons of karma, the lessons of this card into practice. And this is a super interesting one. I mean, simple but not easy. And it goes like this. Choose one day, for example, today or tomorrow, when you are going to follow the golden rule. And the golden rule is something that Jesus also said: treat others the way you want to be treated, knowing that what goes around comes around. Do you want to get more kindness? Be kind. Do you need help? Give help. And so on. So again, throughout the day, just give people what you would like to get, radiate what you would like to experience, and it also applies to yourself. Give yourself as well what you would like to get, and then observe what happens. In my experience, I have tried this practice yesterday. It is super fruitful and super productive. I have tried this yesterday and yeah, practicing it throughout the day, and what I was experiencing was wonderful, because I could realize everything what I wanted, and everyone was kind and helpful and lovely to me. So I can assure you that it is working. Yeah, it works. It's great. All right then. I think this is for everything for today, and now I would like to thank you for your attention. Thanks for showing up. See you around soonish. In case you like the video, please feel free to comment, to share, and to subscribe. And feel free to watch my other videos, especially that about the lovers, so that you understand everything that I have discussed in this video. Now that's it. Thanks a lot for being here. See you around soon. Till then, take care of yourselves and treat others the way you want to be treated. Ciao!